Hey guys, and welcome to It's Our Podcast Show with Stephen and myself, Winston. So, Stephen, let me ask you, have you ever wanted to order an ice cream at McDonald's, but the ice cream machine is always seemed to be broken?
Yes, I have noticed that. Why can't I get my ice cream?
Well, I've been told, and there's a reason for this, but it may not 100% be true, but there's a quite an interesting story about this, and I will talk about that later on in the show. So, what have you been doing lately in the world of Canada?
Well, the world of Canada. You are now in the world of Canada as well, too.
I am.
What have you been doing, right? You've got your jacket. You're looking at an Arc'teryx now. What's next on the cross-Canada exploration tour?
Well, I'm planning my Easter trip to Banff, so I'll be wearing that and keep myself warm. But it'd be interesting because then I've been outdoors in the wilderness in Canada. I heard it's going to be great, so I can't wait to see what's up there.
It's a very beautiful country, and right now it's just starting to thaw. So you're going to be able to get to a lot of places that you couldn't get to before. There is still a lot of snow banked up near Rogers Pass, which is 1,330 meters above sea level. It's one of the highest places that you can drive to within the Canadian Rockies. One of them. It's one of three highest passes that are drivable, I believe. I can't remember what the other two are, but it's really nice there. Definitely go hang out. Get out of the car and just take some pictures. I mean, these snowbanks are huge.
Yeah. I heard that they got some really fantastic views and the scenic pictures up there, and it's going to be great. So we'll see. But
nice.
I've been doing a lot of home cooking lately. Yeah, doing a little bit of kitchen tech. Some of the stuff that you get, like the mixers, the hand mixers, and you got like stuff that you put into the air fryers and stuff like that. I never actually, because I'm a traditional guy, right? I put everything in the hot pan, the oil, and I just fry the stuff, right? But now you can get like air fryers, so you don't even need any bit of oil. Well, you might need a little bit of oil, but a
little bit of oil.
Yeah, but the whole thing is that it doesn't smell or stink the whole place out, right? And
there's one of the nice things is that air fryer is compact. It's like the size of a toaster oven. The other nice thing too is that if you compare the power draw between your oven when you turn it on to try to cook some chicken wings for the kids, and you do that same thing inside an air fryer, it actually takes way less power to do that. So you're actually saving money by using the air fryer for smaller batches of things. But of course, if you're cooking the turkey, it's not going to fit in the air fryer.
Yeah,
right?
So tell me about the air fryer. I mean, it gets energy saving and stuff like that, right? But what about the results at the end when you take out the cooked chicken wings or whatever? Do you get the same crispiness on the skin and stuff like that?
Well, it all depends, right? An air fryer basically is a convection oven on steroids. It uses a lot of hot heat in a very small space to basically air fry your food. So if you have a little bit of oil in there, it just kind of spreads around and circulates. And you've got deep fried chicken wings in the traditional sense. The deep fried flavor with the oil and everything, that's going to be missing. However, what you get, as long as it's not a wet, like a wet type of texture when you cook it, like it's more of a dry kind of cooking, then you're not going to get the gloopiness and everything like that. It's going to fry up really nicely. It's going to give a crispness that is quite frankly different than deep frying. It's more of a dry type of a deep fry texture. So when you bite into it, potentially it's a little bit more crispy. The inside's still juicy. You just have to play with the cooking temperatures and everything like that, and the time. But very interesting device. It does a whole bunch of things really well, but it's not an end-all, be-all, of course, like that. Experiment as you will.
Yeah, it's normally when I cook it on a hot frying pan, whether it's bacon or whether it's burger. Yeah. You get that grease, right? And you lift the bacon up on the beef or whatever, the beef burger, and it's just dripping with grease. And normally I have to get a towel, with those paper towels, to get rid of the excess oil or the grease. But you won't get that with the air fryer, right?
No, you definitely don't get that. So if you want to cook a little bit healthier with less oil, you definitely can. In fact, most of the time when you when you cook with an air fryer, all they want is like a few spritzes over the food.
Oh yeah, you get the
That's it.
Yeah, the spray. You can just spritz
spray.
the oil onto the food. Okay.
So it's way less oil. It's way less wasteful. It wastes less electricity. But again, it depends on what you want out of it. Chicken fingers, perfect. Fries, perfect. Onion rings, perfect. Like there's a lot of things it does really, really well. But there's some things like fish and chips. Right, you can't do that because it's the batter.
The batter.
So the wet batter is not compatible. It just won't set up as quickly. It's not fast enough. But if it's like a dry batter, like
breadcrumbs, like the breadcrumbs.
Breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
Tempura potentially with the breadcrumbs and everything like that. Tempura, prawns and everything. It's set up enough where you throw it in there. As long as you preheat the oven, it's going to crisp up really quickly. Then that way, once it's set, you can flip it over, and then you're going to get that nice golden brown. This sounds like a cooking show, doesn't it? So I'm sure that we're going to have a cooking tech show coming up because this is an idea that I think both of us are very passionate about.
Yeah,
we're going to try a few more things. So look forward to that. But I want to get back to something that you know a whole lot about, and that's the fact that there is a lot of broken tech out there, but there's also a bunch of stuff that we can fix. But it's not always a straightforward path to reparation.
Yeah. I mean, there's stuff that you can buy, and if it's broken, you can take it back to the manufacturers or the retailer, and they'll do the RMA. And what the RMA is basically, they take their broken device and they send it back to the manufacturers. They repair it or refurbish it, and then they send it back to you. Certain products have a kind of like an RMA level where you buy it and it's like 3 years warranty, no problem. You don't get anything wrong with it. And there's ones which are just you use it for 6 months and it breaks, right? And I hate that because that means you have to go back and get it. It could take a month or two to repair. And you think, oh man, where's my buzz buy a new one, right? But but when it comes to industrial stuff, that's a different story altogether. And when it comes to industrial stuff, for example, in the kitchenware, that could take months and months to repair because it's certain parts that you need. And this is where the interesting story about the McDonald's ice cream machine. So the story is that I've actually got this from a journalist. He was investigating why all these ice cream machines in McDonald's are non-functioning. Every time you go and get an ice cream, it's out of order. Sorry, not today. And on the rare occasions where they do have the ice cream, it only works for a day and that's it.
Okay, so let me get this straight. So why would anyone not want to make money? Like, explain that.
Yeah. So like all McDonald's or most McDonald's are franchised, right? So they have a franchise owner business that actually take the brand and they actually run the restaurant chains and so on. And with McDonald's, like a franchise, they are given or set rules or set stuff that you need to follow. For example, all the suppliers and all the other stuff that goes with it. And one of them is, of course, the ice cream. So you have to order it from the ice cream powder or whatever it is, the creams and ice creams that you need to order, comes from one manufacturer or supplier. And same with the machine that goes with the ice cream. And what it is that McDonald's have contracted the ice cream machine or maintenance to this one contractor, all right? And if you're running a franchise, everything, all the costs are top priority, right? You want to keep the costs down to make the extra profit margin and so on. But if your ice cream machine breaks, you have to go to one dedicated contractor for that repair.
Okay.
And they charge an extreme amounts to just come for day repair out of business hours, out of office and stuff like that. You have to travel to the McDonald's franchise and they have to repair the machine, and the costs are astronomical. So the franchise, the business owner, would rather not fix the ice cream machine, or they rather fix it, say, once a month.
Oh my God.
You understand what I'm saying?
So let me get this straight. It's not a matter of profit. In fact, it's less profitable for the company, for the franchisee to keep a device running to satisfy customers because of the exorbitant costs of the repairs. But I mean, come on now. McDonald's must know that something is up. They're selling the supplies and they're making a cut on this. Like, why is corporate not coming in to do something about this?
Well, that's it. The corporates have actually signed the contract with this manufacturer for the ice cream machines, and they can't break the contract, right?
Oh, no.
Or what you could say is that McDonald's, as a business, it's not just McDonald's. They also own other businesses, right? So same as, I don't know, if you have a big brand, a multinational brand, it's not just one brand. They have sub-brands or subsidiaries of their same company, right? So one of them could be the contractor for repairing the ice cream machine.
Oh, no.
Belongs to McDonald's. You understand what I'm saying? Now, that may not be 100% true, but in most cases, if I was a business, I franchised my business out, I would tell them, hey, you need to, or contracted to repair these machines from a company ABC. And that company ABC is actually owned by McDonald's.
Oh,
right?
Jeez. But there's so many things are reliant on the soft serve ice cream. You got milkshakes, blizzards, like the other blizzard thing that they do. I can't remember what it's called. Cones. I mean, it all relies on this machine. How can it be broken? These are like signature summer things that people order. Just like they'll just order a cone just going through the drive-thru. Like, how can you deprive people? This is scandalous.
Yeah, well, that's it, because McDonald's, they make the profit, and they tell you to, hey, if you want to get your machine repaired, go to this company which we are contracted to take out to do all the repairs. And when they look at the cost actually to repair it, and some of the thing is they make the machines purposely to break down.
Right? Oh, jeez.
Yeah. When I say purposely break down, I mean to make ice cream, I'm not sure a lot of people know the process. It needs a certain temperature, right? The mixture needs to turn around, and it needs to be set at a certain temperature. And it's the thermostat that actually controls the temperature, which doesn't actually break down, but it just kind of fails after, say, 4 or 5 sessions. So in other words, it could work throughout the day, 4 or 5 sessions, because you're not going to have the machine on all throughout the day. It's only turns on, the ice cream mixture comes on, so that you can do the ice cream, right? And so it could have, say, 4 or 5 sessions during the day. And for some reason, I think if you're an electronic guy, you might notice, hey, how come after 5 sessions, it kind of like fails to work properly? The thermostat doesn't actually monitor the temperature, therefore the ice cream doesn't set, and therefore you can't get the actual, the cones and all that kind of stuff, the ice cream to pour out the nozzle. So basically, after say 4 or 5 sessions, that's it. It kind of like fails to produce the ice cream. So the mixture just is like a liquid mixture; it doesn't do anything. And this is where they have to go and get the guy to actually repair it. And
this is terrible. This is terrible. I mean, think of all the departments in McDonald's that put up the signs, that make up the marketing collateral, that market the new Space Jam Blizzard. They can't even serve the thing. This sounds like such a waste and a potential place where they can make a ton of money, but they're not doing it.
Well, that's it. They come in. Well, it does work when the repair is done. And it'll only work for a day or two. And after that, it doesn't work. And then you probably think about the franchise owner, business owner is like, okay, we'll need to repair it again. But the cost is so high, you can't repair something like that for maybe 10 times in a month. It's going to cost them too much, right? So they rather maybe do it twice a month. But on a lucky day when it's repaired, you can get your ice cream.
That is just incredible. Like, I can't imagine that this type of it's scandalous. It's like, I want my ice cream. I come to McDonald's for this. It's marketed. I saw it on TV. I come in. I'm in the drive-thru. It's hot out. I'm sorry, sir. There's no ice cream. Would you like a smoothie instead? No, I don't want a smoothie. I want my ice cream. So now I can't get out of the drive-thru. I have to order something. It's just silly.
Yeah. So I think after this journalists have actually, kind of whistleblowed this issue out to the public, I think now, I think maybe a little bit better. I'm not sure. So if you're out there, McDonald's, and if the ice cream machine's working great, see if it works again in a few days' time. Or maybe next time you go there, have a look. Because if it's working fine after 4 or 5 days and a week later it still works, then great. I think they must have kind of addressed the issue. If they haven't, then that's the problem. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah.
And if we're incorrect, or if we're wrong, or if someone from McDonald's corporate wants to come on the podcast and set this record straight, because it sounds scandalous, it sounds wrong to us, please, we're available.
Yeah.
Our email address is below.
This is
our podcast show.
That's right. This is not only McDonald's is having an issue. Burger King will probably have the same issue.
Yeah.
And all the other franchise chains.
Wow.
For me, my family runs a restaurant, so same thing with us. We have a refrigerator which cold kind of storage the wines. So they cool the wine, like wine coolers. So and this refrigerator is actually, we didn't buy it, so it was actually given to us by the wine distributors. And again, we stacked up wine for maybe like 20 racks, and that's chilling the wine, no problem. But occasionally it breaks. And so what happens? We can't chill the wine, and we can't serve the wine in the restaurant. So we have to call a guy up, and they will come and fix it up. And there's a charge, of course. And luckily, we can't call anyone else, because that fridge is owned by the wine distributor, and they have to come and get it fixed. So they have a contractor out from another business, because they just sell wine. They don't actually fix refrigerators and chillers. So they have actually contracted this business out to another manufacturer or a supplier, and they actually come and fix it. And I guess we need to fix that about twice a month. And hey, what can I say? we can't call anyone else. We have to call them, and they'd have to fix it.
Is there any other way to, like, obviously this one is not McDonald's. You're not a franchisee. Could you buy your own fridge? Like, would that be more, how should I say, more profitable?
You could. If you do that, however, then the cost of your wine goes up, because you're not actually participating with their program. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
I hear you.
We're going to give you a fridge for chilling your wine. If you do, this is how much it'll cost per month, because it's a monthly charge. But if you do, we'll give you, say, 5% discount on your wine order.
My goodness.
Right? But if you do, if you buy your own fridge, that's not a problem. But hey, you're not going to get that discount no more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, no. Well, speaking of discounts and whatnot, we don't have a sponsor yet, but we would love one. And even if they serve wine, please hit us up. We'll drink some wine on air. This is not television. This is not radio. We can have wine on our podcast. So let us know. All right. And our email down below, it's our podcast show at gmail.com. Just pop us an email and let us know what you're thinking, and we'll drink some wine. I'm sure that's okay with you, Winston?
Yeah, sure. I mean, if you like our content, and if you think that our content will reach out to all those people out there, and if you want more exposure, then that's it. Contact us, and we'll do what we can to help you provide that extra exposure to all our readers and viewers.
I think that would be a lot of fun. There's a lot of brands out there that definitely need a little bit of a heads up. I mean, I was just at a tire store getting something done to my vehicle, and when I looked at one of the signs, it said tire storage, yearly $74. I was like, oh, $74, that's cheaper than the next place. And he's like, no, we actually provide a very good service. But, one thing that no one else does, and I'm like, what is that? We actually wash your wheels. I'm like, what? Oh. You mean those dirty things that you drag out of storage, you actually wash them before you put them in my car? And he says, yep, we realized that was very important to people, so that's what we do. And we're cheaper than everyone else. So if there's a brand out there that really needs some pimping, you let us know. We'll help you out. No problem.
Yeah. It's that program. Remember Pimp My Ride? You ever watch that?
Pimp My Ride? Pimp My Rig?
Pimp My Rig, Pimp My Ride, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
They take an old car and they bash it up and turn it into something like spectacular, which is amazing. Yeah.
Or they take something that's already broken and they create something spectacular out of it. Those are really fun. Now, speaking of something that's fun, and also something that is might be a little bit cheaper than getting your McDonald's ice cream maker fixed. You know something about the aircraft industry, which I found absolutely fascinating, about the engines. Can you tell me more about that? I was just like, wow. Yeah.
So in my previous job, I worked for this company which actually makes jet engines, right?
That's one, right?
Yeah, there's a
tiny company, right?
That's a tiny company, but you probably know the name anyway. But they make jet engines, and of course, not jet engines. They're into healthcare, they're into energy and power and that kind of stuff. But one of the main businesses.
So in general, they do a lot of electrical things.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, generally they do a lot of electrical stuff. Yeah, so there you go. That's your little clue there. But yeah, if you look about it, there's only a few manufacturers that actually make jet engines, and there's a whole industry behind actually maintaining and repairing these jet engines. Because if you think about it, a lot of the jet engines up there on the plane, they're flying for many thousands of hours, and like a car, like an engine in the car, it needs repair, it needs oil change and stuff like that, right? So what happens is the planes go into a repair center. Most of them you find in most airports, whether it's in all the international airports. They'll have a hangar where the planes will dock or park. The engine actually will then get dismantled, the whole thing, and that engine then will get shipped to a repair shop. And there's a few places around the world that does a lot of repair. I know back in Cardiff, my hometown, they have a repair engine hangar located somewhere in the valley there. But the engines get shipped, trucked over to that repair center there, and they actually take the whole engine apart, and it's like blades, fan blades, and things like that needs to replace. Because think about it, the engine rotates RPM like tens of thousands. Oh, your car can probably hit maybe 9,000 RPM, right? These engines, we're talking 25,000 RPMs, like thousands per second, right? Rotating.
And they're huge too, right?
They're huge,
bird strikes and right. Penguins.
That's right. So
chickens.
the engine needs to, actually, rebuff those things, because you get like birds that go in there, unfortunately, and you can't have anything that just destroys or part of the engine. Yeah. And those fan blades, because they're rotating so fast, laws of physics, it will actually kind of degrade the blades. It's almost like some of the propellers in some of the boats, the speedboats. There's a rotating through the water, and because it rotates so fast, there's actually it heats up really fast. Like we're talking thousands and thousands of degrees Celsius, right? Yeah, and it's because it's spinning so fast. It's the friction, air molecules from friction, rotating blades and so on. So that's all physics, right? So you look into that later on. But so what happens over time, those blades will degrade and they need to replace. And we're not talking like one set of blades in the front that you see in a jet engine. You see the jet engines, you see one set of blades. Internally, there's something like 5 or 6 sets of these blades.
Inside.
Therefore it's called a turbine engine, right? Because it's creating that the turbine, the engine, the flow of air, and the fuel mixture, and the burning of the fuel inside the your turbine jet engine to create thrust. So it needs to create that thrust with different turbine, the blades that go in internally, and that's what happens. And when you look at these blades are, I see them hanging into these trolleys that need to replace. Yeah. And I remember going into the repair shop and asked one of these guys, "Hey, these things, what are they?" He said, "Yeah, these are engine blades, and we need to replace them." Okay. I said, "Okay, how heavy are they?" And he says, "They're really heavy." So I kind of half lifted one of them, and one of them, they were about 1 meter long. Right? Wow. One blade, and inside the engine, it could be 500 blades.
Holy moly.
Yeah. And these blades, I'm talking, they weigh heavy. I'm talking at least, when you do like dumbbell presses or bench presses, stuff like that, we're talking probably about 50 kilos for one blade.
So this is probably some sort of a composite aluminum. It's as light as it can be, yet it's heavy.
Heavy, yeah. And I think it needs to actually be heavy because it needs to have that sturdiness on the engine. When you're rotating 20 plus thousands of RPMs, it needs to have that, the sturdiness and the robustness. And, and I asked one of the guys, how much are they? He told me in excess of $90,000.
Each blade?
Each blade.
For 1 meter of metal.
Well, these are aerospace grade kind of materials I'm talking about. $90,000 for one blade, and you have 500 blades in them.
How much is an ounce of gold? Like, seriously, it's 90 grand for 1 meter of metal. It's probably this thin. It's up and down. So each ounce of gold is like X. I mean, it's probably close to the price of gold.
It is probably, yeah. I mean, these engines, if you take the whole engine as a whole, it costs like a couple of million, right?
Oh my God.
Probably like 10, 15 million per engine.
Oh, jeez.
And you think about it, that's why they run so well. It's constructed really well, and the robustness you need to, of course, you're flying in the air and you have passengers and so on. And these engines run for like an airplane, probably longer than your average car. I mean, you think about it.
Yeah.
Your average car maybe lasts 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, and you resell. And if you buy a second-hand car, maybe lasts another 10 years. But these engines, we're talking about 20 years plus.
Yes.
So, and they need to get repaired, definitely, within maybe, 5 years into their lives, definitely, or even shorter than that. And
these things are
repaired all the time.
These things are super expensive, though. Like how is that airline supposed to recover that money? Like it seems like, the airplane's like a few $1 million. The jet engines have a contract on repairing them. How can anyone afford to run an airline?
Well, that's it. The whole thing about the airline industry is that a lot of the big airlines, right? United Airlines, American Airlines, Delta, and stuff. They are big enough to buy their own jets. Okay.
Yeah.
Jet engines, planes. But the small airlines, they can't afford to really buy a whole plane. And what they do is they actually lease a plane. And there's another industry behind this where, for example, one company called, I think from Ireland, they call AerCap, AER. So they actually a finance company, and they own, say, 300 airplanes, and they actually lease those planes out to these airlines. Say, hey, you're starting an airline, you have an airline business, you want more planes, we can provide you with 3 planes, no problem. You just borrow it, lease it, that's it. And wait. So, I'm a fresh airline, small airline. I actually say, hey, I actually wanted to run a business, and I have an airline. I'm leasing 3 planes. Okay, that's great. But these planes need to, again, like you said, repair. So, hey, the planes, when you lease it, don't come with repairs. What you need to do then is actually, hey, I need a loan to get a repair done. And there's another business there. So
a loan to get a repair done. That sounds wrong.
Well, it's $90,000 per blade, and you have 500 blades in an engine. So work it out. How much is it going to cost you to repair one engine in a plane? So it doesn't come with maintenance. When you lease a plane, it doesn't come with maintenance, and you have to maintain the planes yourself if I'm an airline.
Yeah.
So I can't afford to buy blades and actually have it repaired. So what I do is I get a loan or finance, industrial finance, of course, to get these planes repaired, and then so on and so on. So there's a whole industry behind all that kind of stuff.
But listen to that. It's like getting a loan to do an oil change on your car. How wrong does that sound?
That's the way the business runs. Yeah, I mean,
oh my God,
it's not. That's how everything's tied in. Everything's tied in. You got like small business to run different things of the engine and
jeez,
it's just crazy. Yeah. So
well, that's on the industrial side, but I think a lot of talk these days is about the right to repair movement, right? I mean, Apple has started to do some things. The most cunning of all the companies that want you to send your stuff back or crush it. I mean, there have been some really crazy stories out there about people that have one small IC that's wronged on motherboard, and Apple just wants to sell you a whole new machine as a result of that. No trade-in, no nothing. They want you to buy a new machine. But now there's right to repair. So just recently in the news, I was hearing about first Apple making movements to get certain products repairable. But now it looks like Samsung and also the Google now are doing these kits through iFixit. And I think that's really, really, I'm very enthusiastic about that because it puts a little bit more emphasis on the fact that these are not throwaway devices, but the kits seem to be quite affordable in the big scheme of things. You're not replacing the entire price of a phone. But do you think this is a fad, or do you think it's going to keep going? Will people actually go out and just repair their device, or do you think they'll just buy the next best thing?
Well, Stephen, the thing is, right, me and you, we probably know how to repair PC. Okay, we could twinkle a little bit with the phones and stuff like that. That's all good, right? But a majority of users out there would not even actually open their case or open their PCs or even open any electronics because they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you tell me I'm opening an iPhone, right, I need to replace a screen or a lens or something like that. I have to read up on the manual. I'll have to spend some time on it, on touch up on the electronics know-how, right? Before I can touch it, before I can actually do it. And I would not recommend that to anybody if they don't know what they're doing. And so there's our pros and cons. For people like me and you, if repair kits with full instructions, then I'm okay with that. But majority of people may not want to do that, and they won't have the patience, to be honest with you. A lot of people just, well, okay, my phone's broken, it's time to get a new one. So they rather get a new one. That's probably my take on that, really. So
for you and me, it's like a weekend project where it's basically someone repairs their drywall. We just whip out the tools and replace the screen on the phone. That's no big deal, right?
Yeah. What I don't like about Apple, and this is because I have nothing against Apple. I mean, I'm using my iPhone myself, but for security reasons, Apple seems to be very good for security stuff. So anyway, what I don't like about Apple is they're forcing you to buy accessories, which is just ridiculous, right? Have you seen a stupid dongle that you actually plug into the iPhone so that you can get a 3.5mm jack, right?
Yes.
So if I wanted to record something like some of these wireless mics that you have, and they have a 3.5mm jack, you can't plug that into your iPhone. You have to buy a stupid dongle to plug it into the lightning port. And once you do that, you don't have any other ports to charge your phone at the same time.
That's right.
So it's just, and other things like if you buy the Mac, latest Air Mac or Mac Air and stuff like MacBook Pro, they have 2 USB-C connectors and that's it.
Yeah.
Nothing else. So you have to go and get yourself your USB-C dongle to USB-A adapters and stuff like that. You probably spend about $100 plus just on stupid adapters.
Well, to Apple's credit, I mean, and this is kind of I don't know how you want to take this, but they have allowed MagSafe to charge with this battery bank, and the battery bank is like what, $100? Okay, so you can still charge your phone. There's no excuse. You can still do it. It's just that you have to pay a lot to do the thing, right? So and this is something I just found out. So iPads and their touchscreen stuff, and then people are using their the pen that Apple has. That pen is $100. Oh, easily, absolutely. Yeah, no, it is definitely.
It's just a piece of plastic with a button on it, a Bluetooth button.
Yes, but it has proprietary software and all hardware on board that allows a low latency interface. God. Right?
Do you see why people, well, not me personally, but other people think Apple users are just taking the advantage and they think they're dumb because people would then actually buy a piece of plastic for $100 and that monitor stand, $1,000
it lets you raise it. Raising is very important to some people.
I mean, come on, $1,000 for a monitor stand. I'd rather spend $1,000 on a nice 32-inch widescreen 4K monitor, right?
Yes. I mean, but it doesn't look the same. It's not aluminium, right? It's not it doesn't have the logo on the back. It doesn't look right.
Oh, man.
Aesthetics, right?
Oh.
Like I just recently heard that, we know that the M1 Max are out in full force, including the minis, including the the Studio. So that's all out. Mm-hmm. They're still yet to put out a Pro version. But I just recently heard from our friends at the Waveform podcast, MKBHD, he had to replace his cheese grater Mac, right? And this is high end, super high end.
That's the Mac Pro workstation model, right? Okay.
The cheese grater Mac. They spent $42,000 on their $42,000 on their machine. Guess how much money they got back for it? Yes, and this is less than 2 or 3 years.
So the
much?
guy bought that for 42 grand.
40 grand.
Take it back into Apple to get the new one, right? And they would take the...
How much do you think he got trade?
It's like a trade-in, right?
How much do you think the trade was?
At least you get like 3 grand, 4 grand back.
You're not far off. They got just under $5,000 back for their cheese grater Mac less than 3 years later. And 2 or 3 years later, and they bought the brand new Mac Studio.
Oh God!
Right? There's still a Mac Pro coming. There's still a Mac Pro coming. They're still working on that. But $42,000. Imagine how many PCs I could buy for $42,000.
Yeah, how many GeForce RTX 3090s you can get with that?
Oh, that's a lot. That's like an entire mining farm that you could make enough Bitcoin or Ethereum on to buy more stuff, right? So like he admits that he's done 200 videos on it already. He's actually edited 200 videos on it.
So divide that by 200 videos. How much per video then? That's 42 grand. 42,000 divided by 200 videos, right?
Well, that's just his straight content costs, right? He's edited 200 videos. It probably takes them a week to make each video. So that's probably half a year of work that has been edited on that machine, not including the money that he makes for each one. As someone that's actually had videos that have run away and done great numbers, I can tell you the last video that I did, and this is back in November, and this is a video that I did for another channel. It is closing in on 1 million views, and that Windows 11 video has already almost made 7,000 Canadian dollars.
So you're making money back, I guess.
You do.
If you actually know how to do your stuff like film, record, cut, and edit and stuff like that. Oh, that's all good. I mean, you get your money back, I guess. But still,
that's a lot of money.
That brings to the point where I ask you, what kind of life expectancy do you get from most electronics? I mean, are we looking at 3 years, like you mentioned, that you've spent 42 grand on a cheese grater Mac, right? And that's what, 3 years ago? So 3 years is the
There's
max.
nothing wrong with it.
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with it. It just happens to be Intel, and that's not what Apple is all about now. They're about the M1. They're about Apple Silicon.
For me personally, I think 3 years is the kind of level where I buy a product like this MacBook. This Asus laptop here is a Zephyrus.
Yeah.
It's got the Ryzen 9 in there. It's got the GeForce RTX 3060, which is fine. So I bought this last year. So I'm expecting this to last me at least 3 years. And after 3 years, and this thing cost me almost $2,000 US, right? So $2,000 US, and that's quite an investment for a laptop, you know. But still, 3 years later, I think it's time for me to upgrade. I mean, I could still use it. I can still keep it. I could actually wipe it and then give it to a colleague of mine or a friend of mine, or even a family member. But 3 years is about the max, I think. Because why say 3 years? Because by 3 years later, new technology will come along, and so on and so on. So I think for most electronics, in terms of PC stuff as well, I think 3 years the max I would accept to for an upgrade.
I push 5 years. I actually have this machine that I'm working on right now is an XPS 15 9550. Right. 9550, right? This came out circa 2017.
17? Okay.
So
it's 5 years?
It's pushing 5 years, right?
And how much you pay for it? How much you pay for it?
I had lots of coupons. And you know how Dell likes to do deals, right? I was able to get this machine for $1,800, which is a phenomenal deal. It's got the quad 4K display on it. It came with a 512 gigabyte SSD, which was pretty good at that time. I got the lowest configuration in memory, and I upgraded it to 32 gigabytes on my own. And it's got NVIDIA graphics on board, so it actually accelerates most of the applications on Adobe Creative Suite.
Nice.
It still runs streams. It does everything I need it to do, but you have to realize that I spent more money than most people will spend on a regular laptop in the PC realm. I mean, a MacBook costs at least $1,000 or more, right? To get the quality, right? If you're buying a $500 PC laptop, it's not going to last very long.
Yeah, I heard
Right?
that a lot of people, when they buy a MacBook Pro or a MacBook Air, it could last no problem 5 years, and you'll keep keep going, which is just great. And if you're one of those guys who can't be fussed with all the hardware specs, you just want a computer that runs, especially for music, for video editing and stuff like that, then yeah, I mean, get yourself a Mac. I mean, you don't want to hassle with all that kind of stuff. You just want to let it run, do your stuff, record, edit, post, and that's it, right?
But
so
technically, it's not even that. It's the fact that the entry level for a MacBook is a lot higher than a PC.
It is.
If anyone complains, oh, I bought this PC and it broke down in 2 months, how much did you spend on it? Oh, I got it on sale. It was $250. Dude, the reason why the Mac runs longer is because it starts at $1,000. If you spend $1,000 on a PC laptop, you probably won't have that problem.
Well, that's the thing. I think because the Macs or Apple is so closed in terms of the ecosystem, in terms of the proprietary and all that kind of stuff, the quality, the build quality, I must say, it is good. It is good. I mean, I can't fault the build quality and stuff like that. But the price and the whole thing about it is that, like, you have to use this stuff. And then, again, certain software don't run properly on it. Yeah. You can't really game on it.
You can't game on the Mac.
Not
it's still
really.
the same to this day.
Yeah.
If
you're a true gamer, you can't really game on a Mac, right?
No.
Even if you put like emulators and stuff like that, it just don't work properly.
It's not the same. It's not the same experience. And that's where I think the advantage still lies for PCs is that you need to upgrade your hardware every so often to be able to play the latest AAA titles. Imagine if you had to upgrade your Mac every 2 to 3 years to play the latest AAA games, and you had to buy the mid to high end version of that. That's like buying a Mac Studio every 2 years to play Crysis.
No, well, that's it. The people are actually doing that on their phones. There's a bunch of guys I know that actually chase Apple's latest iPhones. Right. So this year, they're gonna release probably iPhone 14 Pro, whatever. They've got a 13 Pro already. This year they're gonna get that for no apparent reason. I don't know why. The 13 Pro could be working fine for the next 3 years unless they break it. But there's a bunch of people, Apple fans, they're just nuts. They just buy anything that's new from Apple. I don't know why. Well, it doesn't actually improve anything.
What I found out is that the offer that Apple gives you, and Samsung's actually starting to do this now, is that the trade-in value that they give you is so compelling that by the time you pay the monthly, it's like, okay, well, I'm paying an extra $12 for this phone. It's the latest. Yeah, okay, I'll do it. Yeah, sure, I'll do it. Right? Yeah,
so actually, I heard this. I'm not sure if they're going to do it, but Apple are thinking about doing a subscription-based hardware. So now you don't actually like you lease a car.
Yes.
Every year or every 2 years you get a new product.
Yes.
But you don't actually own. Well, you kind of own it, but then you don't actually own it. You know what I mean? You're still paying a monthly fee on it. So I don't know how that's going to work, but apparently, if you subscribe on this thing, this new thing that they're going to do, it means that you're tied to the system, and that means
very much so. Very much so.
And I'm sure it's not going to be like a 12-month contract. It'd be like a 24, 36-month contract where you can't just break.
Well, I think that because they have like Apple now has TV, iCloud, all of their entertainment, gaming, and everything like that. I don't know what's it called, Apple One.
Is it Apple?
The whole suite of services, right? You pay a monthly fee for it. And you actually get everything in the Apple ecosystem. You get way more storage and everything that you'll never use. But the fact that you're tied to that and you can't really move around easily, all your apps and everything are tied to it. The experience is seamless. There's really no other recourse if you want to keep going, or if you want the latest thing, you have to upgrade the phone. And because they've made the pricing so affordable on upgrades, people just get the phone just for the heck of it. So I think in a sense they're trying to test the market to see how much people are willing to bear to buy it. So if you pay if you're getting a new phone for $12 a month and you're not on Apple's whole service, whole subscription, and it's only $10 more to get into the ecosystem and get a new phone every single year, I think most people would do it. It's almost like cable service. They give you the box.
Yeah.
The box is not free. You have to pay for the service to get the box, but it's the only way to access the service, right? And I think Samsung is starting to do something like that, but they're not like Google that has all the service. They don't own anything. So I think between Google and Samsung, they're going to find a way for people to get an Android device for free that they may not own ever. But I think the only people that are able to do the whole suite of services, like I know that Google. Yeah. Maybe that's where I got it. Google One. That entire suite of services includes everything in the Play Store, all their suite of services. That's including Google Drive, like with huge storage. Play Store, YouTube.
Everything in the Google ecosystem, including the mail, the pics, the pictures. Yeah. Everything. When you open your Gmail, you see that little tab on the top right. With
everything's there.
Squares. All of those suites there. Yeah.
Yeah, and it would be hopefully, potentially, they would have a couple tiers where it's like, want some ads? Okay, you'll pay this price. Don't want any ads? Pay this price.
Yeah, or you want more storage, extra. If you want extra security, more.
Yeah.
You want VPN, more.
Yeah. I mean, it's where it's going, right? I mean, if they can addict people to the service with a piece of hardware, I can't see them losing from a business sense, but also it takes away a lot of the ownership of the device. And that's kind of what we're talking about overall, is that broken tech. Well, it's never broken because you never have an old one, right? It's always new. So what happens to all the old devices then?
Well, that's right? The recycling they need to do something more with the recycling, because at the moment I think recycling plastic is okay. We could still do a lot more with that. Recycling paper is good. Recycling bottles and glass and stuff like that is also very good. The other thing now is recycling tech, because right now tech recycling is very, very poor.
Not just in its infancy.
All around the world. I mean, I've seen like broken tech which are, can't recycle, and there's like certain dangerous elements and chemicals which are involved with all the tech stuff. So they really need to sort that out. And I've seen some horror stories and pictures of people recycling PCB boards with really harmful chemicals just to get the gold out. It's unfortunate. Yeah, there's a lot of gold apparently in a lot of the electronic components. Yes. And to extract the gold out, you have to go through this really harmful chemical process, and it could damage the person actually doing it because of the fumes and that, and also damaging to the environment just to get the gold. And there are people in the third world countries doing that, and it's really bad. It's heartbreaking to see that, like we haven't thought about the end of life cycle. I mean, in Europe, I think there's like in Europe, a windmill. Let's just say a windmill, the power that creates power for a community, right? That windmill has to have a plan for recycling every single component of it. Yeah, you mentioned that story before, right? Yeah. Tell me a little bit more. Yeah, like I found out recently, like there's this very famous photo in U.S. media, which is different than the rest of the world media, where they show a landfill full of windmill blades that generate power. So from these wind farms, like the propellers on a Boeing aircraft. Those engines need to be replaced because of bird strikes, because of friction, because of structural damage. If they fall off and hit another windmill in the farm, it takes everything down. So as soon as they notice that damage, they have to replace the blades on that windmill, or they have to retire it. But let me ask you a question. The blades are made of what, though? The blades are actually made of composite materials like fiberglass, resin. Like there's a lot of kind of they're not exactly plastic, but they're not exactly metals either. So they're composites, right? And because they're all interwoven together, it's very difficult for the US right now, because they didn't think about this,
to recycle those blades, and that's why they're in landfills. However, in Europe, where they get heavily fined for not taking care of their own garbage,
they do, yeah.
They have the technology to actually pull those windmill blades and recycle them. And there's a couple ways that they can do that. They can grind it down and put it into cement. They can also, yeah. So that's it. It actually makes the cement much better. The other thing that they can do is they can actually manufacture blades that are 100 or close to 100% recyclable. So this has been an ongoing process. In some cases, the blades, they don't even dismantle them or recycle them. They turn them into structures that help either the environment or beautify cities. Like there's bridges in some of these places where they need a bridge. They use a propeller blade because they just reinforce it. They put it out there. It's a beautiful piece of architecture, and it brings joy to people, right? So in the U.S., this thought has not been thought about because throwing it into a landfill is cheaper and there's no repercussions. There's no repercussions, right? So that mentality needs to change because if there's no consequences, then there is no penalty for being an asshole.
Right? So like I said, it's recycling is, to them, it's more of a hassle and there's no money involved. So why bother doing it, right?
Why bother doing it? And this is a corporate mindset that needs to change, right? In Europe, because of these strict guidelines and because of the emphasis on taking care of what they have, because a lot of things are more expensive in Europe as well too, so they tend to value what they have. One thing that I've always remembered is that this is something from my previous life as a industry insider in the cutlery industry. A company called Wusthof in Germany. One of the founder actually had a conversation. Not the founder. I think it's the CEO had a conversation with one of his customers, and the customer says, "I'm too poor to buy cheap." And he asks, "Well, what do you mean?" It's like, "Well, this knife, it's a good quality product, and because it's good quality, I will always get value from it. If I bought something cheap, I would have to sharpen it or throw it out and create a lot of waste. So by buying something once, I don't have to spend future money. So that's why I'm too poor to buy cheap."
Oh, sorry, I got the mic off.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, so with that then, I think definitely recycling is the way to go. A lot of broken tech out there, and I think recycling is definitely something that they need to look into.
I think we need to kind of change the way that we think about the product that, like, heck, even this water bottle, right? I plan to keep it forever, but the fact that I might get a free one from an event or something like that really diminishes the value of this one. Why can't we make this worth more? How do we do it? How do you make it so I value this more, right?
You're gonna have to spray some brand name onto it and think, hey, it's a Gucci or a it's an LV one. But
it's a difficult question.
Oh, come on, own up. Yeah, you need to confess. Have you ever actually bought any tech which you probably used once or never, and it's just totally useless?
Once or never. In the early days of Amazon, yes, I've bought things that basically broken on the first try, and as a result, I was able to return it. But it's just a pain in the butt. Like I said, I'm too poor to buy cheap. I should have spent a little bit more money.
Yeah, that's true. When you see stuff on Amazon, you think, okay, that's great, it's cheap, man. I can't, you think, okay, let's go and get it. You do realize buying cheap means also there's a hassle and there's a lot of risks involved in terms of like, one, it may not work. Two, it does work, it may only work for a day or two. Third is like once it breaks, they may or may not refund you or what have you, and it's too much hassle to send it back and so on. So it's a lot more involved. But if you, of course, not everybody can afford more expensive brand names, but they tend to offer a bit more warranty, some guarantees there as well. And at least, you get something when you buy it in the shop, you get usually a 30-day guarantee. Do you get that in Canada, a 30-day guarantee? Yeah, you get that in the UK. I'm not sure how much in the US, but in Hong Kong, There's no refund.
No
man.
warranty.
No warranty.
Gray markets.
They buy it, and they say, you're going to buy it? I say, sure. Can I bring it back? Well, it says, if you don't open it, you can bring it back unopened. We'll give you a credit. Don't give you full cash back. No, we'll give you a credit note or something like that, right?
Yes.
But if it's opened, you have to take it back to the warranty, the supplier or the manufacturer.
Yeah.
The shop don't touch it.
And if it's at one of the computer malls inside Hong Kong, well, they just closed down and they've gone bankrupt, so you never get your credit again.
Yeah. And the thing is, that's it. They don't give you money. There's no refund.
No.
And what you tend to do is, when you go to a shop like this in Hong Kong, it's like, okay, I'm going to get this, say USB hard drive. And what you need to do is, I'll buy it, you pay for it first, you make sure eyes on the product, not like from another shelf, from next door, something like that. Say, could you open it? Could you test it in front of you?
Yeah.
Right? That's what you need to do. Because if they open it in front of you, they opened it, not you.
Yep.
Second, they test it in front of you, it works, fine, then that's okay. But if they say, let me test it in the back, yeah, it works.
No. No.
Yeah. So that's one of the shopping tips.
Yes.
To buy tech, which hopefully don't break.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that we end up like, if you think about how much effort it is, how much pain to your brain it is to buy something cheap and have it break, all the time that it takes to return it, argue with the vendor, fill out the RMA, go to the post office to send it back or to drop it off or to go back to the store. In reality, it wasn't worth it. It wasn't. You should have just spent that $10 more to buy the thing that you really actually wanted. And to be perfectly honest, no one ever thinks about the total cost of ownership, right? You may spend more up front, but you're not buying 5 of these things over the lifetime. You bought one, right? So,
actually, talking about the products that you buy, some of the well-known vloggers, podcasters, they tend to buy products. For example, this mic here, they usually buy 2 or 3, right?
Yes.
So if one breaks, they have another spare one just in case.
Yep.
So if you're doing it professionally, if you're doing it for a living or what have you, and it's a big part of your business, they'll always buy a spare, right? Because I know some of the vloggers, they have the camera, the Sony A7 that you have. They got like 3 or 4 of them. One is active. Yeah, exactly. There you go. One they use constantly, and the other 3 are just spares. One maybe like locked into a room where it's all camera set up and everything. Don't touch that.
Yeah.
It's all configured and everything, and have some spare. So some advice for you guys out there: if you want to go professional or if you want to do something a bit more creative, always buy spare equipment, because if one breaks, you will rely on the other. So.
Or you get a sponsor, and if the sponsor takes care of all the microphones for you, then you say really nice things about them on the air. Like, for example, if Rode Microphones sponsored this podcast, I would have many nice things to say about them. Same with HyperX for your microphone.
Exactly. So always, of course, use something that you can relate to, that you feel comfortable using, and of course, it needs to have good,
But I would have bought this microphone even if Rode didn't sponsor me. They didn't, by the way. I bought this mic myself, and it was actually a really good purchase. It lasted me for a very long. Like I said, you buy a mic one time. Like, I bought this mic 7 years ago. It's still with me. It sounds great.
Wow, 7 years,
right? Yeah. So stuff that you buy one time that's good enough quality will last. If I had bought a bunch of really cheap mics, I probably would have broken ones. A bunch of them in a pile, a whole bunch of waste to deal with, and just probably not that great of audio quality throughout the entire timeline that I've had them. So think about that. It's the quality. It's that difference.
Yeah, definitely. So with that said, we're going to be talking about useful tech in another podcast show, and that's going to be very exciting and interesting, because there's loads of gadgets and accessories that you can use for vlogging, for doing your own YouTube podcast and stuff like that. So lots of stuff which you can connect to cameras, phones, and also. So we're going to talk about useful tech in another podcast. Sure.
And probably a lot of cooking tech as well too, because for the first 3 minutes of this podcast, we talked a lot about air fryers. There's so many more products out there that, quite frankly, most people don't even know about. Like, water ovens and all these other things. We can definitely talk about that. If there's something that you want to know about, definitely leave your comments below, and we'll try to address them as soon as we can. It's just so fascinating to have your feedback, no matter how many of you there are, maybe 2 or 3, but we know that you're legit fans, and we know that you're the OGs because you're commenting below every single week.
Excellent. So with that, then, we're going to close this podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. What's your socials, Stephen?
I'm at Stephen Fung on Twitter, which is owned by Elon Musk, 10% or something like that. Thankfully, Instagram is not owned by Elon Musk, and I'm also there at Stephen Fung as well too. I do mainly kind of sort of dadfluencer type stuff over there, cooking and whatnot, and also a little bit of tech. How about you, Winston?
You can reach me out on Instagram at Winston Chim, and also on Twitter at Winston Chim as well. So, with that, I think remember to like our show, follow us, share our content, of course, subscribe, and we'll see you in our next podcast. Have a great weekend, Stephen.
Bye.
Bye. See you soon.